Undoubtedly, you guys are hearing this in the news. The best July in 4 years for the Toronto Real Estate Board. Sales in terms of the Greater Toronto Area. And the market is bouncing back. And most people are saying that, not everyone. Some people are a little more cautious. I'm going to be that way. But listen, let me give you the context of what this is, because my question is, or is it? Is the market actually bouncing back, or is it still kind of as boring as it has been for the past few months? So let me be optimistic, at the same time realistic. And before I get to that, I'm going to share something very exciting, hence the hat here. And I hope this doesn't deter you guys, because honestly, I very rarely do anything other than real estate on this particular channel, or much of anything in business in terms of social media. But I am going to mention something, hence the hat, something called Team Water. I'm very cautious who I align myself with whatsoever, but I'm actually one of the creators, if you can call me that. I'm a nobody. There's some really big people doing this as well. Let me show you something that I'm a part of this month specifically that I wanted to mention to you guys because while I do have your attention, I think this is pretty important. So Team Water, Mr. Beast, everybody knows in terms of social media. Certainly, if you don't know, your kids know him. One of the biggest creators on YouTube, probably the biggest creator, started something. He does a lot of philanthropic kind of stuff, gets a lot of flack for it because it's constantly on video. But in reality, the guy is really, really good. So I'm a part of Team Water. It's the biggest creator crowdfunding campaign ever. And we're going to get to real estate in a second. Bear with me for just a few minutes because this actually is really, really interesting. The whole month of August, they're raising $40 million, bring clean water to 2 million people. And I'll tell you why this is better than a lot of the charity stuff. And I'll mention some information in the next few slides here. They partner with local communities all over different continents. It's not just one place. And open life-saving water access. Water is a big deal. I grew up in the Soviet Union. Not always they get the cleanest water here and there. Here in the West, we just take it for granted. We ask about septic tanks. We ask about where the water is coming from for a property. We never ever think, hey, listen, might not actually have water here, because that's the case in this part of the world. We're very blessed for that. So this particular thing is very, very cool. So if I still get your attention, I hope I do. So the question, undoubtedly, Andrew, real estate guy in Toronto, why are you bringing up a random charity? It is random, but middle of a housing market update, and why this one specifically? I'll tell you specifically 2 reasons why I, Andrew, wanted to be a part of this. I got this little hat. And why I wanted to. So first of all, government programs tend to suck. That's my own personal opinion, but I've got a lot of backup for that. But this particular group, this particular movement has a lot less to do with government intervention and that kind of thing. It has to do with more private individual creators and corporate input. There's a group called Water Aid, and it was started by engineers. So this is the kind of stuff that I look for, because frankly, government tends to lose a lot of money. There's a lot of over-the-top stuff, and the amount of money actually going to said cause is minimal. In this case, that's not a problem. It's not an issue. And one of the other things is sustainability. If let me make a more serious point about, a lot of charities in general. See Robert Lupton's book, Toxic Charity, by the way. Very interesting, kind of hard book to read because people want to do well, but they end up not actually hurting the very people they're supposed to be serving. In this case, one of the issues with water, building wells and that kind of thing is sustainability, meaning that year after year after year, we have that well there and people are having clean water in whatever part of the world it's in. But eventually, something breaks down, or they don't have the money or the know-how how to fix this particular well, and it goes to naught, and it ends up actually hurting people in the long run. One of the interesting things about this specific group and what they're doing now is they've learned over time how to provide education or provide the right skills, knowledge, and material to maintain the wells that they'll be digging and that kind of thing, where the clean water is going to be coming from, hence the Team Water part of it. So this is actually really interesting because the sustainability is a big deal. So those are 2 of the main reasons why I actually not only trust this group, but actually put it on my calendar here, or on my video here, so that hopefully you guys will see this. And listen, this is what's nice about it is minimal amount of money. Listen, it's a meaningful effort. We're not going to save the world. This isn't a problem. It's only going to be solved by some little charity here. But this is a part of a larger movement in terms of water specifically. I know that's one of the things that is really necessary in many parts of the world to lift people up not only out of poverty, but a lot of other situations as well. And I'm proud to be part of it. So join Team Water, teamwater.org. At the bottom of the video is going to be a link. Before you even get to my little link, the first thing is going to be teamwater.org. You can put in $1, you can put in $5. It's up to you specifically, or whatever you want to do. Spread the word. You just put hashtag Team Water. If you're a content creator, a few of my followers, I think, actually have YouTube channels. And so if you guys want to do this, absolutely check it out. Do the background work on it. Don't just assume everyone's doing a nice thing. I did on my own, and I'm familiar with a couple of the organizations. And I like the fact that this is business people doing this, not government specifically, which tends to have issues. I certainly know a lot about that. So listen, that out of the way. Let's get back to the real estate market because I have some stuff to tell you. A boring market, but I'm trying to make things a little more exciting. And specifically, I'm going to talk about what is actually exciting about the current market because there are opportunities here that are amazing. I'm a little frustrated, to be very candid. Not enough people are really taking advantage of it. So I'm going to talk about what to consider if you're looking to sell and if you're looking to buy. Let's talk opportunity. Seriously. So, as always, free information. This is Andrew the Realtor. I'm a nobody. I'm not Mr. Beast. I'm not these creators. On the top left, there's a QR code. Have a look at that. That's my little real estate experience. I'm going to be adding more and more information, more and more stuff that actually is useful to people looking to buy or sell or even just looking to ask questions about the market. So hit like and subscribe if you see this on YouTube. I don't know what you're going to do if you see this on Instagram, whatever. I'm not a big social media guy. But if you see me, maybe make a comment. If you have any questions, feel free to comment. Don't hesitate to reach out. My contact information is always at the bottom of the email. Under that teamwater.org website, there's going to be a link to my calendar. Listen, I'm happy to help. Whatever your questions are about the market, I'm happy to help sincerely. So let's get to, and of course, teamwater.org. That's the organization I'm kind of plugging this month specifically. So again, forgive me for the non-real estate item. It very rarely happens, but this is one of those things that I thought is at least worthwhile for the month of August. So onward. Here's what's happening in the market, and guys. Let me grab your attention here because this is what's actually happening. I like giving you the numbers and you tell me, frankly, if this is a good market, not a bad market, whatever is happening. So the big thing, the excitement, so to speak, in terms of the media, certainly the real estate board, we're dying for something positive, is the almost 11% increase in sales July 2025 versus July 2024. Now, yes, it's a big deal. I think it's a pretty big deal, pretty nice. But in context, July of 2024 was not a particularly busy month. In truth, the past few Julys have not been particularly great. That's why when they say in the past 4 years, you'll go back to 2021, you should see what those numbers are. In fact, I'll show you what those numbers are. But nonetheless, listen, we're dealing with a few more sales. That's always good. Thank God for it. Average price is down 5%. That's average price, taken with a grain of salt. All the properties are involved there. But at the same time, it's not great. But listen, far from any kind of collapse. Everything that's been happening so far, and we're still only dealing with a 5.5% drop in average price. That tells you pretty resilient market. And a lot of that number is condos specifically because the condo market's certainly doing less sales and less well in terms of price than the freehold detached semis townhome market specifically. So the big elephant in the room continues to be inventory. We've gone down significantly from over 32,000 active listings. But if you look at that big fat red circle I did there, was still well over 30,000 active listings in the month of July. And this part in the second week of August, we are also well over 30,000, about 30,200. Very similar number actually in terms of active listings. So inventory is high, significantly higher than July of 2024. So the inventory is the biggest, honestly, the biggest story for the past year. It's never been this high. Record. Property days on market up 13%, which isn't great, but still over a month and now well over a month in terms of property days on market. How long, if you're looking to put your house or condo on the market, you're looking at least on average month and a half, and depending on where you're significantly more. This is GTA wide specifically. So I would just quick note. Pay attention to the condominium price specifically, minus 9.3 year over year. Price-wise, 9.3%. That's almost 10%. That's a lot more significant than some of the other ones, 5, 2, even 7 for the townhomes. So again, when I mentioned average 5.5% down year over year in terms of average price, a lot of that has to do with condos specifically. And interesting, active listings were below, July was below June, and so that's also pretty typical. I mean, numbers can look kind of significant, but in reality, July starts to slow down a little bit, and August tends to slow down as well, usually towards the end of the month, and then beginning of September, things start to pick up again for the fall market. So don't be surprised if the inventory goes down, not significantly, but 1,000 or 2 by the end of August, not only from sales, but also from lack of new listings and some listings coming off the market to be relisted again in September. So overall, property days on market, similar. Not the best market in terms of property days on market. Things are sitting on the market for a while. But listen, seriousness, just look at the numbers. Does any of this look absolutely crazy? Except for the overall inventory, which is kind of nuts, the high inventory. Everything else is okay. The sky's not falling. The bubble is not bursting. This is not a crazy, crazy market. And after all this is still happening. It shows you, again, the resiliency of the market is something that I'm just astounded by. And I have been so for many years now in the business. So here are the Julys, by the way. So you have some context for the news, things that you hear, the headlines. Some people are saying, well, again, best July in 4 years. Others are being very sarcastic. Oh, forget this. They're just fudging with numbers. Here's the reality. This is last month. And this is July of 2021, 4 years ago. Now, 1, 2, 3, 4. Here is what they were looking at. But if you compare it to July of 21, we're significantly below that. 2020, holy cow, it was way high in terms of sales overall. So again, those are the crazy years. If you start going back, this is 15 and 16, 2015, 2016, were busy years also in terms of sales. July, of course. But some were significantly lower. This is what 15, 16 was 17 and 18 in here. So here's the point. Yes, it's a busier July than a lot of the three of the other ones that have happened. Not a lot, busier, but compared to some of the busy Julys we've had in the past 10 years or so, we're not quite there yet. So context. We're looking for anything positive, undoubtedly. So I'll give them some credit there. By the way, transaction volume, here it is. Look at this. Pretty nuts, eh? Okay, so what's happening with the rates? Because that's going to inevitably come up in conversation. So far, as you guys have known, if you certainly watch these updates, we've had no increases. The Bank of Canada has been staying put for a while. So TD Economics, even though we just had a staying put of Bank of Canada, the head of TD Economics did mention 2.25 by the end of the year. So they're thinking another couple of cuts, and we have one coming up on September 17th. Look out for that. That along with the fact that it's right kind of in the second or third week of the fall market, that might actually get things going a little more as well. So look for consistent sales for the rest of the year, especially if we have a rate cut in September and possibly another one another time before the year's end. So that's a thing. What about inflation? Because obviously that's going to have some effect on what the interest rates are going to be doing. June, we have not got the July numbers yet. It's going to be August the 19th. Not bad, under 2%. Remember the target's supposed to be 2%? Give or take, we're still under that. I know there's different other inflation rates. This is the basic inflation rate for Canada. And again, I circle always just to remind myself, June of 22, 8.1%. That's the height of not only we're still getting out of the COVID thing, but things are just nuts in terms of the economy. Over 8% inflation, so well over 4 times what it is or what it was in June of this year. So the point is, interest rates probably a couple of cuts. Inflation seems to be pretty good, give or take. As what I've heard is the economy is not looking too great. So the possibility of interest rate cuts is all the higher, meaning that the real estate market, which is affected by it, of course, is going to keep humming along for the rest of this year. So guys, here we go. Let's get down to the very basic here. So buyers, if you're looking to buy at all this market, I've been talking to so many people. Listen, if you're looking to enter the market, this is a great time. Inventory is still very, very high. Over 30,000 active listings. If you compare it to the past 2 months, it's a little lower. Compared to the rest of ever, it's very, very high. Prices are clearly, they're not plummeting. We've seen what's been happening, but they are soft, especially depending on the area. And because of the way the market is, because sales are picking up ever so slightly, many properties have been on the market for a long time. And so there's going to be some flexibility. There are motivated sellers out there, people who just want to get rid of the market, get rid of their property, move on to the next one, which they can get at a decent price because there's a soft market on the buyer's side. So help them out. Sellers are motivated, entertaining different conditions. There's so many ways to put an offer together. You can make offers on properties that have expired and are off the market, but they're still looking to sell. They just want to go on the market again and bother with being on the market forever. What if you bought that house conditional upon the sale of your house? So you put your house on the market, you're not losing anything if you don't sell, and they don't lose anything in terms of being on the market because they're not even on the market. There's so many avenues you can take on the buy side, and many forecasts, again, have at least 2 more interest rate cuts, and nowadays it's going to pick things up a little bit. So the point is, you have such an amazing opportunity on the buy side. There's so many, just this morning I sent some very specific properties, and there's a whole list of properties to one specific individual who's interested in possibly buying something. So so much stuff out there. This is the exciting part. I'm excited the opportunity the buyers have right now that is not typical of the GTA, historically speaking. Sellers, take heart, in all seriousness. If you decide to sell, though, you do need to plan carefully from the start. Depending on the area, you can begin to at least have some sort of actions you're going to take specifically. Maybe you're going to go into a multiple offer or hope to get into a multiple offer thing. Maybe your price is low. Maybe you price it normally and move forward and see what the market does. But be ready for longer days on market. Be ready for the kind of market that it is. Have a realistic expectation. And if you do that, especially looking forward to possibly buying something if you're selling, it can be quite positive. But the key is planning. And I've seen a lot of people just kind of put it out there and try it, and they haven't really thought out what the next steps might be. So, and if you are listed, this is really important. I've had several conversations just in this week with my own clients and others. If you're listed and not getting too much action, maybe not the kind of offers that you want, listen to me. One of the first things people come, oh, it must be the price. The listing agent might tell you, well, it must be the price. For several months now, I've been harping on this particular little fact here, that price may not be your issue. I can tell you time and time again, in certain complexes, if it's a condo or a condo townhome, or areas, divisions, subdivisions, areas where there are homes that aren't selling very fast, and one or two drop their price significantly and still don't sell, and they're still on the market, and it looks bad, and they keep trying to go up and down, that kind of thing. So listen, my point is, it's not always price. It's not always price. Buyers, you got to look out. Some sellers are sticking to their guns, and rightfully so. Because even if you list very low and you don't sell, then you begin to at least understand what I'm saying here. So this happens a lot. If you're on the market, things aren't happening. Yes, it may be the price, but it might not be the only issue. Look at overall demand. It may very well be, and I know I'm sad to say, the demand for the area, demand for that kind of property, demand for whatever, that neighborhood is not quite as high as we would like. And that's a matter of time. You just have to kind of wait it out if that's the case, or take your house off the market. So again, just giving a fair warning, because I'd hate to see people give their house away or think that they have to just sell their house for nothing in order to be able to do it. Consult with your listing agent, or better yet, contact me. My information is always at the bottom of the video. Ask me whatever questions you might have. I do get calls from people who are already listed. They call me. Again, I don't call them. And they ask me questions like this. And sometimes I tell them, hey, listen, you're priced a little aggressively. You may want to drop it if you really need to sell. Or I might say, listen, you have neighbors that have not sold for much, much lower than you are sitting at. What magical thing is going to happen when you lower your price? Consider maybe that just the demand, the interest isn't there. Maybe you just got to wait it out. So listen, guys, sellers, be patient. Buyers, got to take advantage. Andrew the Realtor, thanks so much for your time. I appreciate this. Sorry for the hoarse voice. Again, Team Water over here. My experience, a little real estate experience on the QR code. Hit like and subscribe. Trying to get this one up faster in the year, so forgive me. I didn't want to wait till my voice gets better. And again, guys, sincerely, teamwater.org, throw in a couple of bucks. It's not a big deal. Overall, it's gonna make a major difference. And again, it's sustainable water supply for people in other parts of the world where they don't have it year over year over year. With all the proper the processes involved in the charity, that they're going to come back and make sure everything's working. They're going to come back and make sure the wells are functional. Come back and make sure that people know what to do with the well when it needs to be fixed and that kind of thing. So something nice to do in the month of August before we all get back to school and forget about a lot of things. So guys, have a great rest of August. I'll see you in the fall, officially September.